Lord Jesus, as this prayer begins, I turn my attention fully toward your invitation, an invitation spoken not with pressure or demand, but with gentleness, understanding, and compassion. You do not call only the strong or the confident, you call those who are tired, those who are weighed down, those who have carried more than they were ever meant to carry. And so I come. I come not pretending to be whole, not pretending to be calm, not pretending to be strong. I come exactly as I am, because your words tell me that this is enough. You say, "Come to me," and in those words I hear safety. I hear permission to stop striving. I hear freedom from the constant effort of holding everything together. Lord, so much of life has felt like labor, labor of the mind, labor of the heart, labor of the body. There are days when even rest feels exhausting, when sleep does not fully restore, when silence still feels loud. You see that weariness, Jesus. You named it long before I had words for it. And so now, in this moment, I accept your invitation. I turn away from the noise, the pressure, the inner tension, and I turn toward you. I do not rush. I do not hurry. I allow myself to arrive slowly, knowing that you are not impatient with me. You are not measuring my pace. You are simply present, waiting with open arms. All who labor and are heavy laden. Lord, you understand the weight people carry. You understand the unseen burdens, grief that has no timeline, anxiety that returns without warning, responsibility that never fully rests, expectations that press in from every direction. You understand the fatigue that builds quietly over years, not just days. And you do not minimize it. You acknowledge it. You speak directly to it. Lord, teach me to fully surrender to your care without hesitation, without fear, and without reservation. Teach me that releasing control is not a loss but an embrace of your perfect wisdom and power. Teach me that resting in your spirit allows your deepest healing to flow freely and naturally. Let this truth permeate my being, so that every part of me, mind, body, and soul, receives your restorative touch and is transformed from within. As this segment continues, I release all need to track progress or see immediate results. I trust fully that your Spirit is working meticulously in every aspect of my life, bringing restoration, renewal, and wholeness in ways that exceed my understanding. Every gentle movement, every quiet whisper of your presence, and every subtle release of tension is evidence of your perfect care and love. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Remain here, fully immersed in your presence, anchored in trust, and open to the flow of healing that is saturating every part of me. Let every breath, every heartbeat, and every thought carry your restorative power, bringing peace, strength, and wholeness that endures beyond this prayer, beyond this hour, and into every area of my life. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and Lord, as I rest further in your presence, I feel a profound sense of peace beginning to saturate every part of me. Your Spirit moves gently yet powerfully, touching every hidden corner of my mind, every worn area of my heart, and every weary part of my body. I allow myself to fully receive this healing, trusting that your love reaches into places that I may not even recognize. Every thought, every breath, every beat of my heart is now aligned with your restorative care, and I surrender completely to your Spirit's work. Jesus, as I remain here with you, I begin to sense how your invitation is not only a doorway into rest, but an ongoing place of dwelling. You are not calling me into a brief moment of relief, you are calling me into a relationship where rest becomes a way of being. The kind of rest that reshapes how the soul carries life, how the heart responds to pressure, and how the body learns again what safety feels like. You know how often I have learned to live braced, always preparing for the next demand, the next interruption, the next challenge. Even in quiet moments, there has been an underlying tension, as if stillness itself could be taken away at any moment. But here with you, that pattern begins to soften. I do not need to anticipate what comes next. I do not need to stay guarded. I am allowed to be present. All who labor. Lord, labor does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it is the constant mental effort of holding things together. Sometimes it is emotional labor, being strong for others when my own strength feels thin. Sometimes it is spiritual labor, trying to believe, trying to trust, trying to remain hopeful when answers feel delayed. You see every form of labor, even the ones that go unnoticed by the world. And you say, "Come." So I come again, deeper this time. I come past surface thoughts. I come past rehearsed prayers. I come with the parts of me that feel worn, discouraged, or quietly overwhelmed. I bring the fatigue that has settled into my bones. I bring the mental fog that makes clarity feel distant. I bring the emotional weight that has been carried without words. Jesus, as I place these before you, I feel no judgment in your presence. There is no disappointment in your gaze. There is only understanding. Only compassion. Only a steady assurance that I am not a burden to you. That my weakness does not repel you, it draws you closer. You say, "I will give you rest." And that rest does not arrive as an abrupt interruption. It arrives like warmth spreading slowly through cold hands. Like light entering a dim room without harshness. Like water reaching dry ground and soaking in gently, layer by layer. Let that rest continue to move through me now. Let it reach the places I have learned to endure instead of heal. Let it enter memories that still carry tension. Let it soften habits of overthinking, overanalyzing, overpreparing. Let my mind realize that it does not need to solve everything tonight. Let my heart realize that it does not need to carry every outcome. Jesus, you do not rush the healing you offer. You do not overwhelm the soul with more than it can hold. You restore with wisdom. You restore with patience. You restore with love that understands timing. As I remain here, I notice how my inner world begins to feel more spacious. Thoughts slow not because they are forced to stop, but because they no longer feel urgent. Concerns loosen their grip. Even the body responds, breathing becomes deeper, movement softer, tension less dominant. Lord, teach my soul that this rest is not fragile. That it is not dependent on circumstances being perfect. That it is anchored in you, not in the absence of difficulty. This rest can remain even when life continues. This rest can coexist with unanswered questions. This rest can carry me forward. Heavy-laden. Lord, you named that weight because you know how heavy it can feel. You know how long some burdens have been carried. You know how some loads were never meant to be borne alone. And here, in your presence, I allow myself to set them down, not forever, perhaps, but for now. Long enough to breathe. long enough to remember what lightness feels like. I do not need to prove my exhaustion to you. I do not need to justify why I am tired. You already know. And you still say, "Come." So I stay. I stay in this place of gentleness. I stay where rest is given, not earned. I stay where healing begins quietly, steadily, without pressure. And your promise continues to hold me. Jesus, as I continue resting in your invitation, I become aware that the rest you offer is not something that fades when attention drifts. It remains steady beneath the surface, like a calm current carrying me even when my thoughts wander. This is not rest that depends on perfect focus. It is rest that holds me gently, even when my awareness softens or my mind moves slowly from one thought to another. So many times, rest has felt conditional, something allowed only after everything is done, everything is resolved, everything is explained. But with you, rest comes first. You do not wait for completion. You do not require readiness. You simply give. And in receiving, something within me begins to reorganize itself around peace instead of pressure. Lord, I notice how my body responds when I stop resisting stillness. Muscles release without effort. Breathing deepens naturally. Even areas that have carried chronic tension begin to soften in ways I did not consciously command. This tells me something important, that healing is not always something I must direct. Often, it is something that happens when I allow you space to work. You say, "Come to me," and I realize that coming is not a single action. It is an ongoing posture of the heart. It is choosing, again and again, to turn toward you when weariness rises, when anxiety returns, when old habits of strain attempt to reassert themselves. And each time I turn, you are still there. Still inviting. Still gentle. All who labor and are heavy laden. Lord, even the words themselves feel like recognition. You see the long days that blend into one another. You see the nights where rest feels shallow. You see the silent perseverance that others never notice. And you do not dismiss any of it. You honor the effort, and then you offer relief. As I stay with you, I feel less need to define my struggles. They no longer need labels or explanations. They are simply present, and you are present with them. That alone brings comfort. That alone begins to heal. Jesus, let this rest move deeper now. Let it reach the mind where thoughts loop endlessly. Let it settle the inner dialogue that has been harsh or demanding. Let it bring kindness to the way I speak to myself. Let my inner world reflect the gentleness I encounter in you. I notice how time itself feels different here. There is no rush to reach the next moment. No pressure to conclude. This space feels wide enough to hold me fully. And in that spaciousness, I sense how your rest is not an escape from life, but a foundation for living differently. Lord, teach my heart that I do not have to carry everything alone. That asking for rest is not weakness. That receiving your care is not selfish. It is necessary. It is healing. It is holy. As this prayer continues, I allow the weight of expectation to loosen. I release the idea that I must always be capable, always be composed, always be in control. In your presence, I am allowed to be human. I am allowed to be tired. I am allowed to rest. And you do not withdraw when I do. Jesus, I stay with you. I let the promise of your words continue to unfold within me. I will give you rest. Not someday. Not when things change. But here. Now. Even as this prayer flows on. And that rest continues to settle, layer by layer, quietly reshaping the way my soul holds the world. Jesus, as this prayer continues, I become more aware that your rest is not only something I receive, it is something that begins to teach me. It teaches my nervous system that it does not need to remain on guard. It teaches my heart that love does not arrive with conditions. It teaches my mind that it can loosen its grip without things falling apart. In your presence, I am learning a new rhythm, one that is not driven by urgency, fear, or constant self-monitoring, but by trust. So much of my life has been shaped by the idea that I must stay alert to remain safe, productive, or acceptable. Even in moments meant for rest, there has often been an undercurrent of vigilance, as if peace could vanish if I relaxed too deeply. But you, Jesus, remain steady as I soften. You do not disappear when I stop striving. You do not withdraw when I stop proving. You stay. All who labor. Lord, you understand how effort can become a way of identity. How carrying responsibility can feel inseparable from worth. How letting go can feel frightening, as if rest might expose something fragile underneath. But you do not expose me to shame. You expose me to care. You reveal not my insufficiency, but your sufficiency. As I remain with you, I feel the subtle invitation to trust you not only with my pain, but with my pace. To let go of the belief that healing must be immediate or dramatic. To allow restoration to unfold slowly, naturally, without force. You are not in a hurry with me. And that truth alone begins to heal something deep. Jesus, let your rest continue to settle into my body. Let it flow into the spaces that have learned to hold tension unconsciously. Let it reach the neck, the shoulders, the chest, the abdomen, places where stress has quietly lived. Let those areas feel permission to release without effort, knowing they are supported. I notice how the mind begins to follow the body into calm. Thoughts become softer, less insistent. They pass without demanding attention. There is no need to chase them away. There is no need to analyze them. They can come and go, while I remain anchored in you. Lord, you promise rest, not distraction. This is not an escape from reality, it is a grounding into what is real and sustaining. You are not numbing me. You are restoring me. You are not silencing me. You are steadying me. Heavy-laden. Lord, some of the weight I carry did not come from a single event. It accumulated over time, small pressures, repeated disappointments, responsibilities layered upon responsibilities. I may not even remember when it began to feel heavy. But you know. And you do not require me to trace it back. You simply invite me to set it down. So here, in this moment, I set it down again. Not with force. Not with finality. Just with willingness. I let my soul experience what it feels like to be unburdened, even briefly. And I notice that the world does not collapse when I do. Instead, something within me steadies. Jesus, let this rest deepen. Let it reach into the emotional layers that have stayed guarded. Let it reassure the parts of me that learn to endure quietly. Let it bring kindness where self-criticism has been loud. Let it replace inner harshness with gentleness that feels unfamiliar but welcome. As this segment continues, I do not rush toward resolution. I stay present. I stay receptive. I stay where your words remain active, alive, and effective. Come to me. I am here. I will give you rest. I am receiving. And that rest continues to unfold, patiently, faithfully, holding me without demand, teaching me without pressure, restoring me without haste. Jesus, as I remain in this place of rest with you, I begin to understand that your invitation is not only about relief from exhaustion, but about restoration of trust. Trust that I am safe when I stop striving. Trust that I am held when I release control. Trust that I am seen even when I am quiet. In your presence, I do not need to perform awareness or effort. I simply allow myself to be. There is a tenderness in this rest that feels unfamiliar, because it does not demand anything in return. It does not ask me to improve myself before receiving it. It does not wait for me to become stronger. It meets me exactly where I am, and that meeting itself becomes the beginning of healing. All who labor and are heavy laden. Lord, I notice how deeply those words resonate, because labor has shaped the way I think about myself. I have learned to measure days by effort, worth by endurance, faith by how much I can carry without breaking. But here with you, that narrative begins to loosen. You do not ask how much I have endured. You ask only that I come. And as I come, I realize how much I have been holding, not only responsibilities, but expectations, assumptions, fears about what might happen if I stop being vigilant. In your presence, those fears do not need to be confronted aggressively. They simply soften as your rest makes space for something truer to emerge. Jesus, let this rest continue to flow through my inner world. Let it calm the reflex to rush. Let it quiet the inner urgency that insists something must always be done. Let it teach my heart that presence itself is meaningful. That stillness is not wasted time. That rest is not failure, it is alignment. I notice how my breathing now feels less controlled, less intentional. It moves naturally, as if the body remembers something it forgot long ago. This is not something I forced. It is something that happened when I stopped interfering. Jesus, as I remain in this place of rest with you, I begin to understand that your invitation is not only about relief from exhaustion, but about restoration of trust. Trust that I am safe when I stop striving. Trust that I am held when I release control. Trust that I am seen even when I am quiet. In your presence, I do not need to perform awareness or effort. I simply allow myself to be. There is a tenderness in this rest that feels unfamiliar, because it does not demand anything in return. It does not ask me to improve myself before receiving it. It does not wait for me to become stronger. It meets me exactly where I am, and that meeting itself becomes the beginning of healing. All who labor and are heavy laden. Lord, I notice how deeply those words resonate, because labor has shaped the way I think about myself. I have learned to measure days by effort, worth by endurance, faith by how much I can carry without breaking. But here with you, that narrative begins to loosen. You do not ask how much I have endured. You ask only that I come. And as I come, I realize how much I have been holding, not only responsibilities, but expectations, assumptions, fears about what might happen if I stop being vigilant. In your presence, those fears do not need to be confronted aggressively. They simply soften as your rest makes space for something truer to emerge. Jesus, let this rest continue to flow through my inner world. Let it calm the reflex to rush. Let it quiet the inner urgency that insists something must always be done. Let it teach my heart that presence itself is meaningful. That stillness is not wasted time. That rest is not failure, it is alignment. I notice how my breathing now feels less controlled, less intentional. It moves naturally, as if the body remembers something it forgot long ago. This is not something I forced. It is something that happened when I stopped interfering. Jesus, as this first part of the prayer gently draws toward completion, I remain settled in the truth that your rest is not something fleeting or fragile. It is not a momentary calm that disappears when life resumes. It is a deep, abiding presence that stays with me, even beyond awareness, even beyond words. And as I rest here, I recognize that something within me has already begun to change, not dramatically, not loudly, but steadily and honestly. Your invitation, "Come to me," has become more than a sentence. It has become a place. A place where I am not measured by what I carry. A place where my weariness does not disqualify me. A place where I am allowed to arrive incomplete and remain accepted. In this place, I no longer feel the need to brace myself against life. I feel supported. All who labor and are heavy laden. Lord, I see now how compassion is woven into every part of that statement. You do not overlook exhaustion. You do not spiritualize it away. You do not tell me to endure silently. You meet me right in it. And your meeting is gentle, not interrogating. Healing begins simply because you are present. As I stay with you, I sense how rest has moved from the surface into deeper layers of my being. Not everything is resolved, but everything feels held. Not every question is answered, but none of them feel threatening. My body rests without needing permission. My thoughts soften without instruction. My heart feels less guarded, less braced, less alone. Jesus, let this rest continue to recalibrate how I move through the world. Let it shape how I respond to pressure. Let it influence how I treat myself when I feel tired again. Let it remind me that returning to you is always available, always welcome, always safe. I will give you rest. Lord, you do not give rest reluctantly. You do not ration it. You do not withdraw it when I struggle again. You give it freely, consistently, faithfully. And knowing that allows me to loosen my grip even more. I do not need to hold myself together alone. I do not need to anticipate every outcome. I am not abandoned to my own strength. As this segment closes, I allow myself to simply remain. Not anticipating the next part. Not striving to maintain a feeling. Just resting in the assurance that your words are still active, still alive, still working beneath the surface of awareness. Jesus, thank you for meeting me here. Thank you for seeing my weariness without judgment. Thank you for offering rest without conditions. Thank you for remaining present as I soften, slow, and settle. And even as this part of the prayer ends, your rest continues, quietly sustaining me, gently restoring me, faithfully holding me, just as you promised. Jesus, as this second part of the prayer begins, I return to your words with a deeper sense of trust than before. Something within me now recognizes your voice not as distant instruction, but as a steady presence that remains even when I am quiet. I do not feel the need to re-enter forcefully. I simply arrive again, knowing that you have not moved. The rest you offered earlier has not vanished, it has become a foundation, and from that foundation, deeper healing begins to unfold. You say, "Come to me," and this time the invitation reaches beyond exhaustion into the places where I learned to carry weight without asking for help. It reaches the parts of me that adapted to pressure by becoming self-reliant, guarded, and cautious. Those adaptations once helped me survive, but now they feel heavy. And you do not shame them. You gently invite them to rest as well. Lord, I notice how often I have mistaken self-sufficiency for strength. How often I believed I needed to manage my own healing, regulate my own peace, carry my own emotional load. But here with you, I begin to see that true strength looks different. It looks like surrender without fear. It looks like trust without constant proof. It looks like allowing myself to be held. All who labor and are heavy laden. Jesus, you speak to the labor of becoming stable, becoming faithful, becoming acceptable. You speak to the inner effort of trying to be okay, trying to keep up, trying not to fall apart. And in your presence, I feel permission to stop performing wellness. I do not need to convince you that I am improving. I am allowed to simply be honest. As I remain here, I sense how my body and mind respond differently than before. There is less resistance to rest. Less questioning. Less urgency to analyze what is happening. I trust the process because I trust you. Healing does not feel like something happening to me, it feels like something happening with me, in cooperation, not control. Jesus, let this part of the prayer reach into the habits of strain that have lived beneath awareness. The habit of staying alert even when nothing is wrong. The habit of anticipating disappointment. The habit of holding tension as a form of protection. Let those habits soften now, not through force, but through safety. Your presence creates safety. Not the absence of challenge, but the presence of support. And in that safety, my nervous system begins to relearn peace. My breathing deepens again. My thoughts slow without instruction. My body recognizes that it does not need to remain braced. Lord, this rest feels different than rest I have known before. It is not fragile. It does not disappear when thoughts return. It does not demand silence or emptiness. It holds space for everything, thoughts, emotions, sensations, without being overwhelmed. This tells me that your rest is strong enough to contain my humanity. I will give you rest. Jesus, you give rest not as a pause from life, but as a way of living connected to you. A way of carrying responsibilities without being crushed by them. A way of moving through uncertainty without being consumed by it. This rest does not remove me from the world. It roots me more deeply in what is real and sustaining. I allow myself to go even deeper into this truth. I do not rush ahead. I do not evaluate progress. I remain receptive, knowing that healing unfolds layer by layer, often beyond conscious awareness. I trust that even now, beneath thought and feeling, something is being restored. Jesus, I stay with you. I let your words continue to work quietly within me. I allow this rest to become familiar, stable, and dependable. And I know that this is only the beginning of what you are gently, faithfully restoring. Jesus, as I remain with you in this second part of the prayer, I begin to notice how rest is not only something I receive, but something that reshapes how I relate to everything I carry. The burdens themselves may not disappear immediately, but the way they sit within me begins to change. They no longer press with the same weight. They no longer demand the same urgency. In your presence, even what remains feels lighter. You know how easily the soul learns to stay braced, even when no immediate threat exists. How the mind stays alert, scanning for what might go wrong, rehearsing conversations that may never happen, preparing for outcomes that are not yet real. This constant vigilance can feel responsible, even necessary. But you invite me into a different way of being, one rooted not in anticipation, but in trust. All who labor and are heavy laden. Lord, the labor you name is not only physical. It is emotional labor, mental labor, spiritual labor. It is the effort of holding together conflicting emotions. It is the strain of carrying expectations, my own and those of others. It is the fatigue of navigating uncertainty without clear answers. And you meet that labor with compassion, not correction. As I stay here with you, I allow my awareness to soften. I do not need to watch myself resting. I do not need to monitor whether I am doing this right. I trust that simply remaining in your presence is enough. Healing does not require precision. It requires openness. Jesus, let this rest continue to flow into the deeper patterns of my inner life. The places where tension has become automatic. The places where anxiety feels habitual. The places where I learn to equate readiness with safety. Let those patterns gently unwind as your presence reassures my whole being that I am not alone. I notice again how my body responds before my thoughts do. Breathing becomes fuller. Muscles release without instruction. Even the heartbeat seems steadier. This tells me that rest is not just a mental concept, it is something my entire being recognizes when it arrives. Lord, you do not rush this process. You do not flood me with sensation or emotion. You restore with subtlety and wisdom. You understand that healing must feel safe to be lasting. And so you work patiently, layer by layer, without overwhelming what is tender. I will give you rest. Jesus, I hear this promise now not only as reassurance, but as invitation to trust you with time. To trust that I do not need immediate resolution to be okay. To trust that unanswered questions do not mean abandonment. To trust that your presence is sufficient even when circumstances remain unchanged. As this segment continues, I feel less compelled to solve or analyze my inner state. I allow things to be as they are, trusting that your spirit is active even when I am not consciously directing anything. Healing does not require my constant supervision. It unfolds naturally when I am receptive. Lord, let this rest also teach me gentleness toward myself. Let me notice when I push too hard. Let me recognize when I dismiss my own need for care. Let your presence recalibrate how I respond to fatigue, stress, and emotional strain, not with criticism, but with compassion. Here with you, I do not need to earn permission to slow down. I do not need to justify my need for rest. I am simply responding to your call. And that response itself becomes an act of faith. Jesus, I remain here. I let the rhythm of your rest continue to steady me. I trust that even now, beneath awareness, something is being restored, quietly, faithfully, and thoroughly. Jesus, as I continue resting with you, I begin to sense how your rest does not remove me from responsibility, but changes the way responsibility is carried. It no longer feels like a weight pressing down on my chest. It no longer demands constant vigilance. In your presence, I learn that I can hold what is mine to carry without being crushed by it, because I am not holding it alone. So often, I have believed that staying tense was necessary, that if I relaxed, something would be missed, something would fall apart. But here with you, that belief gently dissolves. I see that tension has not been protecting me as much as it has been exhausting me. And you do not rebuke that exhaustion. You receive it. All who labor and are heavy laden. Lord, you speak to the fatigue that comes from trying to manage outcomes beyond my control. The weariness that comes from caring deeply while feeling limited. The strain of loving, hoping, waiting. You see it all. And instead of asking me to do more, you invite me to rest more deeply. As I remain here, I notice how my mind begins to feel less crowded. Thoughts still arise, but they no longer compete for attention. They drift through a wider, calmer space. There is room to breathe. There is room to simply be. And that spaciousness itself feels healing. Jesus, let this rest continue to reach into the emotional layers that have learned to stay guarded. The parts of me that brace for disappointment. The parts that hesitate to hope too freely. The parts that have learned caution through experience. You do not push those parts away. You welcome them gently, allowing trust to grow at its own pace. I feel how your presence steadies my inner world. Not by controlling it, but by holding it. Nothing needs to be forced into alignment. Nothing needs to be silenced. Everything is allowed to exist within the safety of your care. And that safety changes how everything feels. Lord, you are not asking me to detach from life. You are inviting me to attach more securely to you. And from that attachment, life becomes more manageable. Challenges feel less overwhelming. Uncertainty feels less threatening. I feel supported from the inside out. I will give you rest. Jesus, this promise now feels like something that flows continuously, not something that turns on and off. It is present even when my awareness shifts. It remains even when emotions fluctuate. It is stable, dependable, and patient. As I lean into this shared rhythm, I begin to notice where I have been rushing, emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. I see how hurry has often disguised itself as responsibility, and how pressure has worn the mask of commitment. But you, Jesus, are not hurried. And when I align myself with you, I feel my own urgency soften. Let this rest reach into the parts of me that feel driven by fear of falling behind, fear of disappointing others, fear of not being enough. You do not fuel those fears. You gently disarm them. In your presence, worth is not measured by productivity or endurance. It is simply given. Lord, teach my heart to recognize the difference between diligence and strain. Help me sense when effort flows naturally and when it becomes forced. Let your rest become the internal signal that guides me, showing me when to move and when to pause, when to speak and when to remain still. As I stay here, I feel how my body itself begins to respond. Muscles that have stayed subtly tense begin to relax. Areas of tightness loosen without conscious direction. It is as though my physical form is finally receiving permission to let go, trusting that it does not need to remain on guard. Jesus, you are gentle and lowly in heart. Your gentleness does not weaken me, it restores me. It teaches me that strength does not require hardness, and resilience does not require constant resistance. There is power in softness when it is rooted in trust. Let this gentleness continue to shape how I relate to myself. Where I have been self-critical, let compassion grow. Where I have been impatient with my own process, let understanding take root. Healing unfolds at a pace that honors the soul, not one that satisfies external pressure. As this segment continues, I rest in the awareness that nothing is being wasted. Even this quiet moment is meaningful. Even this stillness is active in ways beyond my awareness. Your rest works deeply, thoroughly, and faithfully. I remain here with you, Jesus, learning, unlearning, and being restored without striving. Jesus, as I stay with you in this quiet place, I become aware that rest is not merely the absence of struggle, but the presence of safety. There is something deeply healing about knowing I do not have to explain myself here. I do not have to justify my weariness, and I do not have to prove my faith. You already know the weight I have carried, even the weight I never found words for. I sense how often I have learned to live in a state of subtle alertness, always anticipating the next demand, the next challenge, the next emotional shift. Even in moments meant for rest, my mind has remained partially awake, scanning for what might come next. But in your presence, that vigilance begins to dissolve. I am allowed to fully arrive in this moment without needing to brace for what follows. Jesus, you speak to those who are weary and burdened, not with conditions, but with welcome. You do not ask how long I have been tired, or why I allowed myself to reach this point. You simply say, "Come." And in that invitation, I feel a permission that reaches deeper than words, a permission to stop running, to stop holding everything together by sheer effort. As I rest here, I notice how some burdens are obvious, while others have quietly shaped me over time. There are emotional weights I normalized, responsibilities I accepted without question, expectations I internalized until they felt like truth. One by one, I begin to loosen my grip on them, not through force, but through trust. I no longer need to carry what was never meant to define me. Teach me, Jesus, how to recognize the difference between responsibility and burden. Show me which weights are mine to carry with wisdom, and which ones I have been holding simply out of habit or fear. Your yoke is easy not because life is simple, but because it is shared, and because you do not place unnecessary weight on the soul. As this rest continues, I feel my inner world becoming quieter. Thoughts that once overlapped now move more slowly, allowing space between them. I realize that clarity does not come from pushing the mind harder, but from allowing it to settle. In this settling, truth rises gently to the surface without strain. Lord, I let your words sink deeper now, past my thinking and into my being. You will find rest for your souls. This rest feels broader than sleep and deeper than relaxation. It touches identity, memory, and hope. It reassures the parts of me that have been carrying unspoken anxiety, assuring them that they are seen and cared for. I remain aware that healing often happens quietly, without immediate sensation or dramatic shift. Yet even now, something is being restored beneath the surface. You are teaching my soul a new posture, one of openness rather than defense, trust rather than control. Let this rest reframe how I view time. Not as something constantly slipping away, but as something held in your hands. I do not need to rush to secure my future or replay my past. You are present in both, and you invite me to live fully in this moment, anchored in you. As this segment draws towards stillness, I remain here, breathing slowly, receiving gently, trusting deeply. There is nothing more I need to do. Nothing more I need to fix. I am already where I need to be, resting with you. Jesus, I remain with you in this place of quiet assurance, sensing how rest continues to unfold not as a single moment, but as a gentle process. It is like dawn slowly spreading across the horizon, almost unnoticed at first, yet steadily changing everything it touches. I recognize that my soul has been longing not only for relief, but for reassurance, that I am safe enough to stop striving. Here, in your presence, I begin to understand that weariness is not a failure of faith. It is often the sign of having cared deeply, given generously, and endured faithfully. You do not rebuke exhaustion, you respond to it with compassion. Your invitation to come is not an invitation to be fixed, but to be held. As I stay here, I feel the weight of self-judgment soften. I have often measured my worth by productivity, by consistency, by how well I managed pressure. But you measure differently. You see the heart beneath the effort, the intention beneath the outcome, the humanity beneath the expectation. This understanding allows my inner tension to release even further. Jesus, teach me how to carry your yoke in daily life, not just in moments of prayer. Help me recognize when I begin to carry things alone again, when I tighten my grip out of fear instead of trust. Remind me that partnership with you does not require constant vigilance, it requires attentiveness to your presence. I notice now how rest reshapes perception. Problems that once felt overwhelming lose some of their urgency. They are still real, but they no longer define the horizon of my thoughts. I can see beyond them, because you stand beyond them, steady and unshaken. Let this rest reach into my memories, Jesus. Into moments that still carry emotional weight, moments where I learn to brace myself or stay guarded. Gently reassure those places within me that the environment has changed, that I am no longer alone in navigating what lies ahead. I allow your words to echo again, my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Not because life demands nothing, but because you carry the heaviest part. The load is redistributed in love. What once pressed down now rests differently, supported by grace rather than effort. As this segment comes to a close, I stay aware of the stillness you provide, a stillness that does not disappear when sound returns or responsibilities resume. It becomes a foundation, a place I can return to again and again, wherever I am. I trust that this rest is not temporary. It is a gift that continues unfolding, shaping how I move through the world, how I respond to pressure, and how I care for my own soul. I remain here with you, unhurried, unburdened, and held. Jesus, as I enter this final portion of time with you, I do not come with urgency or expectation. I come with openness. There is a different quality to this moment now, a settled awareness that I am not striving toward rest anymore, but resting within it. Your presence has gently recalibrated my inner world, and I can feel how my soul recognizes this place as familiar, as though it has been here before and is finally remembering its way home. I notice how rest has begun to change the way I relate to myself. I am less reactive, less critical, less hurried in my inner dialogue. The voice that once pushed me forward without pause has softened, replaced by a quieter assurance that I do not need to force progress to be moving in the right direction. You are with me in the unfolding, not just the outcome. Jesus, you invite the weary not into escape, but into relationship. You do not remove me from my life, you enter it with me. And in doing so, you transform the very way weight is carried. I sense that healing is happening not through dramatic intervention, but through sustained companionship. You walk with me at a pace my soul can sustain. As I remain here, I reflect on how often I have confused strength with endurance. I thought strength meant never slowing down, never admitting limits, never letting others see my tiredness. But you reveal a different kind of strength, the courage to come when I am weary, the humility to receive rest as a gift, the trust to believe that I am held even when I am not holding everything together. Let this understanding settle deeply within me. Let it shape how I respond when weariness returns, because I know it will. Life continues to ask much, but now I know where to come. I know that rest is not something I must earn again each time, it is something I am invited back into. Jesus, I allow this rest to extend into my future thoughts. Instead of anticipating pressure, I begin to anticipate your presence. Instead of bracing myself for what might go wrong, I anchor myself in the certainty of who walks with me. This shift does not remove responsibility, but it removes fear from the center of my attention. I remain still, breathing slowly, allowing your words to echo without resistance. Come to me. Not once. Not occasionally. But continually. This invitation becomes a rhythm, a way of living, a posture of the heart. I stay here with you, no urgency to move forward, no need to conclude anything. I am learning that rest does not rush toward completion. It deepens through presence. Jesus, as I remain here, I become aware that rest is teaching me how to listen again, not just to your voice, but to the quieter movements of my own soul. There are subtle needs that I once ignored because they did not feel urgent enough, emotions I postponed acknowledging because there was always something more pressing to address. In this stillness, those quieter parts are no longer drowned out. They are welcomed without judgment. I notice how much of my weariness came from constantly anticipating the future while replaying the past. My mind learned to live everywhere except the present moment. Yet here with you, the present feels sufficient. I do not need to solve what lies ahead or reinterpret what has already happened. This moment is complete, held securely within your care. Jesus, you do not hurry me through healing. You understand that some wounds require patience, not pressure. You allow rest to unfold at the pace my heart can sustain. This gentleness reassures parts of me that have learned to associate growth with discomfort. You show me that transformation can happen quietly, through safety rather than strain. As I stay here, I sense how trust grows not through effort, but through consistency. Each moment spent resting in your presence reinforces the truth that I am not abandoned in my weariness. You are steady, unchanging, and attentive. This reliability begins to rewire old patterns of fear and self-reliance. Let this rest reshape how I approach challenges, Jesus. Instead of bracing myself internally, teach me to ground myself in you before responding. Let my reactions become slower, more thoughtful, less driven by anxiety. This is not passivity, it is alignment. It is choosing to move from peace rather than urgency. I recognize now that rest does not make me less engaged with life, it makes me more present. When my soul is not exhausted, I can listen more fully, respond more compassionately, and discern more clearly. This kind of rest restores not only energy, but perspective. Jesus, remain near as I learn to carry this rest beyond this moment. Let it become the atmosphere of my inner life, the foundation beneath my thoughts, and the steady rhythm beneath my days. Even when noise returns, even when demands increase, let this rest remain accessible. As this segment gently settles, I remain with you, aware that nothing needs to be added or adjusted. I am learning to trust the quiet work you are doing within me. Jesus, as I remain in this unfolding stillness, I begin to sense how deeply my soul has been shaped by constant motion. Even when my body rested, my mind often remained active, rehearsing responsibilities, anticipating needs, or revisiting unresolved moments. Yet here with you, motion slows without resistance. The need to keep moving loses its grip, and I discover that stillness is not emptiness, it is fullness without noise. I realize now that much of my fatigue came not from what I was doing, but from how I carried it. I held everything as if it depended solely on me, as if release would mean loss of control. But in your presence, I am learning that surrender does not diminish responsibility, it reframes it. I can hold things lightly, trusting that you remain involved where I release. Jesus, you invite me into rest not as an escape from reality, but as a different way of inhabiting it. You teach me that rest and awareness can coexist, that calm does not require disengagement. This understanding gently dismantles the false belief that constant tension is necessary for effectiveness. As I stay here, I allow your words to continue working beneath the surface of thought. They do not argue or demand, they reassure and settle. I sense old patterns loosening, patterns of self-protection, over-preparation, and internal pressure. These habits once felt necessary, but they are no longer required in the same way. Let this rest reach into how I view myself, Jesus. Not as someone defined by output, but as someone known and valued apart from performance. This truth softens the inner urgency that once drove me relentlessly forward. I no longer need to prove my worth through exhaustion. I remain aware that learning rest is a process, not a switch. There will be moments when old instincts return. But now I know where to come, and I know that your invitation remains open without expiration. Each return to you strengthens the pattern of trust. As this segment continues, I breathe slowly, letting presence deepen. There is no pressure to move ahead. Healing is happening quietly, naturally, in its own time. Jesus, As I remain here, I begin to feel how deeply your invitation to come touches more than my physical tiredness. It reaches the places within me that have carried emotional and spiritual fatigue for years. Layers of strain, doubt, worry, and self-reliance begin to soften under the quiet presence of your Spirit. I notice that I have been carrying much of life's weight alone, believing that rest would be a sign of weakness. But you, Lord, show me that true strength is born not from relentless effort, but from returning to you with honesty and surrender. I allow myself to feel the cumulative relief of being understood, seen, and accepted exactly as I am. There is no need to mask exhaustion or disguise worry here. Even thoughts that once triggered anxiety are welcomed gently. In this sacred space, healing is not a race or a checklist, it is an unfolding, subtle and thorough, working quietly beneath awareness. Jesus, teach me to recognize how rest shapes resilience. When the soul is grounded in your presence, challenges lose their oppressive weight. Decisions are clearer, responses more measured, and hope returns naturally. This rest does not remove reality's demands, but it equips me to meet them from a renewed place of strength. It transforms the way I interact with life itself. As I breathe and settle deeper, I notice the tension that once existed in my chest, shoulders, and jaw slowly melting. My body begins to remember what safety feels like. The rhythm of my heart aligns more easily with calm rather than urgency. Even my thoughts, once scattered and insistent, begin to move with gentleness and coherence. This physical and mental integration feels sacred, a testimony that your rest is holistic, touching all aspects of being. Lord, let this rest permeate my mind, teaching it to pause before responding. Let it guide my heart to choose patience over haste, compassion over judgment, and trust over worry. Let it recalibrate my inner compass so that I no longer navigate life primarily through fear or obligation, but through the awareness of your steady presence within and around me. Jesus, I reflect on how much I have learned to define myself by what I can accomplish or endure. But here, in your presence, I understand that identity is not tied to output or endurance. It is tied to being known, loved, and supported by you. This knowledge changes everything. My worth is not contingent, it is established in relationship with you, and that alone allows me to let go of the false burdens I have carried. As this segment draws on, I feel the quiet restoration that comes from simply remaining with you. No effort, no striving, only presence. Even the past hurts and anxieties that once seemed sharp begin to lose their immediacy, softened by the enduring reality of your care. Healing is happening not because I am pushing for it, but because I am open to receiving it. I linger here, Jesus, trusting that this rest continues to settle deeply, quietly transforming both the inner and outer rhythms of my life. I am learning that to truly follow you is to live from this place of rest, carrying your strength within me. Jesus, as I remain in your presence, I feel the gentle unfolding of rest stretching into every part of me, emotional, mental, and spiritual. I notice how often I have mistaken busyness for significance, effort for progress, and tension for vigilance. Yet now, with your words echoing in my heart, I realize that true strength comes not from relentless striving, but from surrender to your guidance. This surrender is not weakness, it is a conscious alignment with the one who knows my heart more deeply than I ever could. I reflect on the times I have carried worry and fear as if they were shields, believing they protected me from disappointment or harm. But in this moment, I sense that those shields, though once necessary, have kept me from experiencing the fullness of your rest. Let them fall, Jesus, and let your peace take their place. Let me learn to navigate life without carrying unnecessary weight, trusting that you uphold all that truly matters. As I breathe deeply, I feel layers of tension unwinding in ways I have not experienced before. Muscles I did not realize were tense begin to soften, and my mind feels more spacious, more attuned to your presence rather than to the urgencies I have carried internally. Even memories that once brought anxiety now drift through this space without gripping me, for your peace surrounds them and reassures my soul that I am safe. Jesus, teach me to recognize the difference between my responsibilities and the burdens I have unnecessarily assumed. Help me discern where I can act with wisdom and where I must release control. Let your presence guide these choices, so that every step I take reflects trust rather than tension, courage rather than compulsion. I notice how your invitation to come, to rest, has begun to reshape my inner dialogue. Words that once carried judgment and expectation now soften. I can speak to myself with gentleness, acknowledge my limits without shame, and embrace my humanity without fear. This is healing, Jesus, not only for my body and mind, but for the soul that has often been overlooked in the rush of life. As this segment deepens, I feel an inner rhythm aligning with your heartbeat, a steady, reassuring pulse that reminds me I am not alone. Challenges and uncertainties still exist, yet they are no longer overwhelming. They are contained within the larger reality of your presence, which neither falters nor diminishes. This realization allows courage and calm to coexist within me, preparing me to face life from a restored foundation. Lord, let this healing rest continue to expand into every corner of my being. Let it transform the way I interact with others, respond to difficulty, and approach each new day. Let your gentle power become the measure by which I navigate all things, so that even in the midst of responsibility, I remain centered in you. I remain here, fully present, fully open, and fully trusting, allowing your words and presence to carry the work of healing to depths I cannot yet see, confident that every part of me is being renewed. Jesus, as I remain in this final moment of rest with you, I sense the fullness of your promise settling deeply into my being. The weight I once carried, the constant pressure, the unending striving, the hidden anxieties, is no longer pressing in the same way. It has been met by your presence, held with love, and gradually transformed. Even as I continue to breathe, I feel the residual tension dissolve, replaced by a steady awareness of being supported, being known, and being cherished exactly as I am. Lord, in this quiet, I recognize that your rest is not a temporary pause, but a profound reshaping of how I relate to life. It is an education for my soul, a retraining of how I carry responsibility, how I respond to challenge, how I hold my own heart. I learn that strength is not measured by endurance, but by the ability to come to you, to release, and to trust that you are already working where I cannot see. Each moment of surrender teaches me more than hours of self-effort ever could. I notice how my mind has shifted. Thoughts that once felt urgent now move with a gentle rhythm. My emotions, once reactive, now settle into a more measured pace. Even memories that once brought pain or fear now pass with less tension, their sharpness softened by the constant reassurance of your care. This is your healing at work, quiet, patient, and thorough, touching every layer of my being. Jesus, Teach me to carry this rest forward into the world. When I return to daily life, let this internal rhythm guide me. Let patience, trust, and gentleness become the first responses rather than last resorts. Let my interactions reflect the steadiness I have found in you, so that my presence may become a vessel of your peace to others. And when challenges arise, remind me that I am never carrying them alone. I allow your words, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden," to echo throughout my being, resonating in every cell, every thought, every breath. They are not merely comforting phrases, they are transformative truths. They teach me to release control without fear, to embrace rest without guilt, and to move through life with a steady, assured heart. As I sit in this awareness, I realize that healing is not a momentary relief, but a continuous unfolding. Even now, beneath conscious thought, your spirit is working quietly, restoring, realigning, renewing. Every layer of exhaustion, every point of strain, every subtle pattern of anxiety is being addressed in the fullness of your timing. Lord, I linger in this sacred space, fully present, fully receptive, and fully trusting. Let this rest become the foundation of my life, a place I can return to again and again, anchored in your love. Let it not end with this prayer, but extend into every hour, every day, every interaction, so that your presence guides me continuously, and your peace remains the steady rhythm of my soul. I remain here with you, Jesus, wholly open, deeply restored, and profoundly grateful, knowing that